RAM is getting more and more expensive. Case in point, the RAM shortage is about to get way worse because Micron is ditching consumers for AI.
Alan, we are so
no more heroes, it's Kira, the killer, catch on nobody but yourself, nothing less to do.
Travis, it's kill or be killed.
Ow!
Hey, hope you guys are all doing well today. Today is December 5th on a Friday, so hope you guys are getting ready for the weekend, get some time to relax. We got a lot to talk about today. A lot of gaming news, a lot of different things happening in space. We had the PC game show that happened just yesterday, RAM being at an all-time high, tons of game announcements, and some new content coming, and I want to get into that. RAM is getting more and more expensive. Case in point, the RAM shortage is about to get way worse because Micron is ditching consumers for AI.
Alan, we are so
That is right. One of the three biggest manufacturers of RAM that normally makes its profit selling to consumers is now exclusively selling to AI companies and data centers. This is highly unfortunate. Let's read and try to find out why they're even doing this in the first place. The ongoing RAM shortage affecting PC gaming has gone from bad to worse, as Micron announced it is ending its crucial brand of consumer RAM and SSD storage devices and focusing solely on developing products for AI enterprise-level customers. The end of Crucial as one of the top consumer-level PC part brands will not be immediate, as Micron stated the transition will take place over the next few months. Now, the news came amid an ongoing RAM shortage and price hike that has shocked the PC gaming market to its foundation, with OpenAI announcing its plans to expand its AI server operations across the globe. RAM manufacturers dedicated portions of their manufacturing supply towards OpenAI's projects, leaving consumers out in the cold. Since October, the prices of DDR4 and DDR5 RAM kits have spiraled out of control, as 2x16 RAM kits that were once priced under $100 throughout most of 2025 has seemingly tripled as of this writing. Again, highly unfortunate. It's really crazy in this time period where most people want to build PCs or have different things that they want to get into as far as tech goes, that this is one of the times where this becomes so expensive. With the price of DDR5 RAM kits continuing to climb at an alarming rate, one of the largest brands in the market is being discontinued after nearly 3 decades of service. On December 3rd, Micron announced that it was exiting the consumer market by February 2026, ending a 29-year run for Crucial's brand of consumer RAM and SSDs. In short, Crucial branded products will no longer be manufactured by Micron past that point. Additionally, Crucial RAM and SSD products will no longer be sold at retailers like Amazon, Best Buy, and Newegg once any remaining stock is cleared out past February 2026. Despite the exit, Micron said it will continue to offer warranty service and support for all Crucial products across the globe, though it's not clear how long that will last. However, Micron itself is not going out of business. Instead, Micron will shift its focus towards enterprise-level consumers and AI-based technologies. Enterprise-level customers and AI-based technologies, and cited the AI-driven growth in servers and data centers as the main reason for its sudden shift away from the consumer market. While the controversial subject of AI has drawn various comments from gaming industry figures concerning its growing usage, Micron stated that the move was to ensure its supply of RAM and other components would be enough to support the company moving forward. Additionally, Micron claimed that it would reduce the impact that its consumer market departure could have on its employees and offer redeployment opportunities to any positions that open up as a result. So when they're firing people, they're going to try and see if they can actually get them in somewhere else. Micron's decision to exit RAM and SSD consumer markets came at the worst possible time for gamers amid the ongoing RAM price surge and shortages. With Crucial's exit, a key player in RAM and SSD manufacturing will leave consumers with fewer options to pick from. The impact of Crucial's demise and the RAM shortage will have an impact on all gamers, not just PC users. Given that the Steam Machine has yet to announce its price, Valve confirmed it will not be a subsidized price that customers will pay once it arrives in 2026. Ergo, the price of the Steam Machine could be higher than what gamers expect. Now, additionally, the RAM shortage could force Microsoft to make another price increase on Xbox consoles despite 2 price jumps throughout 2025. And according to rumors throughout the gaming industry, Microsoft did not make preparations for the ongoing RAM shortage, meaning Xbox Series S and X consoles could jump up sometime in 2026. While the PS5 is not expected to endure another price increase in the short term, the loss of Crucial as an option for consumers will be felt across the entire gaming industry and tech industries. People were wondering if the Steam Machine was going to be $900, but I don't think they were expecting $1,000 consoles potentially. Because with everything getting more and more expensive, that just means not only will the Steam machine potentially be higher in price, but again, like they said before, the Xbox Series, the new Xbox console, the PS6, hell, even cars that use different types of smart technologies because that requires RAM, refrigerators, smart beds because for some reason people are buying smart beds. Anything that uses any form of RAM is going to get more expensive now once this deal fully goes through, because I believe it's not going through until 2026. It's just unfortunate because on paper, AI is supposed to be a tool that enhances and improves our lives. And right now it's pretty much been doing anything but that.
It's unbelievable.
It's getting people falsely arrested. There was a pregnant lady who AI flagged her for carjacking. She was 8 months pregnant. She got flagged for carjacking. There was a student who was going to school who got flagged for having a weapon and was arrested by campus police when he just had a bag of Doritos because the AI system falsely flagged him. Not to mention the pollution it's causing with the amount of water and electricity it's using and the way it's disproportionately affecting Black communities. It's so bad. Because on paper, it can be a great tool to research do a large portion of research in such a short span of time. Or if you're coding and you're running different redundant scripts over and over and over again, having something to automatically execute those scripts and continuously run things like that for you and help reduce some of the monotonous work that you don't have to have somebody manually review all the time is dope. But using it to replace people, it's costing people some of their jobs. And the fact that it's costing the price of RAM and other pieces of technology to go up so drastically, I just can't fully get behind AI. And the fact that it's so unregulated and it's impacting so many people in such a negative way, I can't get behind this. Because this is the third biggest manufacturer of RAM in the world that is now pulling out of selling to consumers specifically. People like you and I, yeah, they're no longer selling it to us. Remember the GPU shortage at the beginning of COVID? Yeah, please don't remind me. Pretty much RAM right now, some sticks of RAM and some kits now are more expensive than the graphics cards I have. And I have a 4080 Super. There are some RAM kits that are 64 gigabytes of RAM going for $1,500, $1,400. We've lost the plot. Only thing I like smart is my phone and computer. Everything else has to be a hub. Yeah. Man, it's crazy, man. It's getting weird. It's getting weird. Like it was ideally never supposed to be this bad. Working on a second build? Oh man, bless your heart. I know you finna see the RAM prices and be like, but yeah, that deal hasn't fully gone through yet, so you still have time. Once 2026 hits, you're basically running on a timer at that point. Speaking of timers, business deals, and possibly awful news. Saudi Arabia, you know, the place that has more human rights violations than Americans have guns, is now going to own over 90% of EA. Which is essentially all of it, because the other stakeholders that have stocks in EA that aren't part of Saudi Arabia owns them. So recent filings suggest Saudi Arabia's public investment fund will own over 90% of EA under the current buyout plan. The deal has garnered considerable attention and speculation since before it was even official, with many both in and outside of the gaming industry questioning how it could affect the video game giant and the sector as a whole. While much remains uncertain about EA's privatization, a new report sheds light on how ownership will be divided between investors. Not to mention, Donald Trump's son-in-law is part of the group that actually bought it.
It's unbelievable.
So you basically have Lucifer and the devil pulling up at the same time buying your company, and we're just like, yeah, we'll let you have it. Not to mention, for that $55 billion acquisition, $20 billion of that acquisition is debt put in EA's name. You can't make this up. But shortly after a Wall Street Journal report leaked news of the deal, EA confirmed it was being acquired for $55 billion in the largest leverage buyout in history. If all goes according to plan, EA stocks will no longer be available for public trading, with a small group of major investors taking complete ownership of the company. Yeah, Black, $20 billion of that $55 billion buyout was leveraged debt in EA's name. How this is legal, I don't know. But when you buy a company this way, it's done specifically so that the company coming in to buy you out actually does not have to take on the debt in their own name, but it takes it out in your business's name. Meaning that if something goes wrong with the deal or the company needs to make that money back, they're going to start legally gutting your company. And the fact that EA went private, at first people were happy, because when you don't have a company that's public anymore, this is why Steam can do pretty much whatever it wants. You don't have a table of investors and shareholders to constantly appeal to. That's why it was such a big deal. People were like, oh, they're going to go private. That means they can pretty much do whatever they want. But then they were literally bought by the devil himself. So it's like, what are you going to do? And if something goes wrong, if your company, let's say you come up with a game and something goes wrong, all Saudi Arabia is going to do is be like, F you, pay me. That's exactly what's going to happen. But if all goes according to plan, EA stocks will no longer be available for public trading, with a small group of major investors taking complete ownership of the company. That group consists of the PIF and private equity firms Silver Lake and Affinity Partners, but it's now looking like one of those three will have a much larger ownership stake than the others. And this has been a big part of Saudi Arabia's sports washing and image washing campaign that they're doing. I think the plan is called like Vision 2030. They're buying different sports teams. They're buying, they bought Evo. They bought Evo. They're buying more events and more businesses over here to improve their image and convince people that they're not the place that violates human rights. But we're going a little too deep into the rabbit hole now. A new report from the Wall Street Journal alleges that the PIF will own 93.4% of EA under the current agreement. The remaining 6.6% won't split evenly between the other two investors either, with Silver Lake taking 5.5% of the company and Affinity Partners owning 1.1%, earning that stake in the gaming giant will reportedly cost $29 billion from the PIF, an eye-watering price tag that would be even higher if Saudi Arabia didn't already have a $5.2 billion stake in EA. Such a massive piece of the pie should also help fund amid reports that the PIF is reportedly running low on funds after the EA deal, despite its having the backing of one of the world's wealthiest nations. And that's the issue here too, because it's like what happened with the Activision Blizzard buyout that Microsoft did. Because if you guys remember, they picked up a bunch of other studios besides Activision Blizzard, but because of how much money that move cost them, a lot of smaller studios ended up getting shut down and gutted. Remember this Tango Gameworks, the studio that made Evil Within, Hi-Fi Rush? Hi-Fi Rush was one of the biggest games that came out and particularly went through word of mouth to become as successful as it was, because Microsoft did no promotion for that game at all whatsoever until it started blowing up and people started liking it. And you know what they did after that game was super successful? They shut the studio down. ZeniMax, the studio that made Elder Scrolls Online, you know, that's owned by Bethesda, which is now owned by Microsoft. They were coming up with a new MMO. Elder Scrolls Online is one of the more successful ones that came out. And that's old. ZeniMax was like, okay, we can do this again. They showed off the game to Microsoft executives. They said, oh shit, we love it. Like, that's cool. Cancel it.
It's unbelievable.
What?
No new game for you. No new game for you. Just outright shut it down. I don't know. I don't know, Black Recluse. I don't know. This is why it's so important, though, to be knowledgeable about this kind of stuff and find out who's making these decisions. Because Microsoft, one of the biggest reasons they increased the prices of Game Pass, Xbox, and everything else like that is because they have a whole mandate from the CFO, Amy Hood, who came in and said, like, yeah, we need to have an increase in 30% of our profit margins. The highest they've seen during COVID was 17%. So they want them to basically double their profits that they had during COVID when everybody else was inside and had nothing else to do. This is what I mean. And this is why it's important to figure out like why deals like this are going through and who's making these decisions. But the report cites an antitrust filing in Brazil for these figures. EA's buyout will need a regulatory oh god, I can't speak today. I'm sorry, talking about these deals got me a little worked up. Regulatory approval from multiple nations before it can close, given EA's major presence across the globe. With this in mind, more such documents will likely come out as the legal process continues, revealing more about the deal. Those regulatory hurdles may also threaten the acquisition. At least 2 U.S. senators have criticized the EA deal for national security risk, referencing how Saudi Arabia could use its ownership of EA to access sensitive data and gain influence over a global audience. It's still too early to say whether these concerns will ultimately stop the buyout or impact the specifics of the deal. And if Microsoft Blizzard's acquisition is anything to go by, it will take a long time, likely years, for things to settle. Earning an alleged 93.4% stake in EA is just the latest in the trend of Saudi Arabia ramping up its involvement in the gaming industry. The PIF is also a major shareholder in Nintendo, and Saudi Arabia was originally supposed to host the first Olympic esports games, although the International Olympic Committee and the nations canceled that deal weeks after news of the EA buyout broke. It's unclear exactly why the Olympic agreement fell through, but the nation still hosts the Esports World Cup every year, or EWC for short. At the time of writing, none of the parties involved in the EA transaction has commented on this new report. However, EA has previously issued a statement on the deal in general, promising its employees that its mission won't change and that its creative freedom will remain intact. As for how things will play out in the real world, fans will have to wait and see what follows as the buyout makes its way through the regulatory process. So that's our news about that. Let me get all my Call of Duty players to the front. I repeat, can I have all my Call of Duty players come to the front? Thought this would be interesting because I don't know how you guys feel about Black Ops 7 or skill-based matchmaking, but for anybody who's curious about how this current Call of Duty is performing, spoiler alert, it's not doing well. Because Call of Duty is underperforming in 2025, citing burnout, creative decisions, and AI slop. Xbox dropped the ball on the wrong year, apparently. According to one analyst, Call of Duty as a franchise is underperforming in 2025 due to a variety of factors, Reese Elliott of Alinea Analytics said in an interview that some of the factors that he believes are contributing to Call of Duty's decline include community burnout, questionable and creative business decisions by Activision, Microsoft, and strong competition. Not surprised? Yeah, TT, I've been seeing a bunch of things on the timeline just about Black Ops 7 and looking into it myself. The campaign, which I agree, when most people say most people aren't there for the campaign, but I love the campaign for Black Ops like 1 through 3, even 4. I liked Modern Warfare 2's campaign. I liked the original Modern Warfare's campaign. Some of the other ones, like the new first 2 Modern Warfare games for their campaign, it wasn't bad. 3, let's not talk about it because that was supposed to be DLC and they turned it into a full-fledged game. It's when they started doing kaiju battles, I knew we were going downhill. When they had Homelander, Nicki Minaj, Beavis and Butthead, American Dad characters running around, you know, on one hand I thought it was cool, but on the other hand I remembered this is Call of Duty, not Fortnite. What are we doing here? Like, Call of Duty is losing its identity, I think, over time, and I think a lot of people are feeling that fatigue because every year we're getting a new Call of Duty game. We don't have any time to actually miss it. It doesn't take a break. Everybody's constantly spending money for skins in one game that don't carry over into the next game unless you're doing like Warzone or something, which even then, once they came out with Warzone 2, people's skins didn't carry over after a while. It's a lot. It's a lot. Once it shifted to only Warzone, that was it. Yeah. That's where most of their attention has been going. Not to mention they got cheaters running all up and down that shit. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. If you're someone who plays Warzone full time, peace be with you, brother. My prayers are with you because I don't know how y'all can manage like running into cheaters and the type of people that you do constantly in Warzone, especially if your team is selling you. Y'all truly are built different. It's Money Pit and they love to say how much they hate Fortnite when they saw that money that can be made. Man, Fortnite, I will say, changed the gaming industry for both better and for worse, because while it is super successful and they had a lot of good business practices going on, at least as far as the battle passes and the value you get from it, it also inspired everybody else to do the exact same thing and try to replicate that same success, but much worse. Tried to turn it on early and blew your PC up. Hey man, it's those shaders. It's crazy. It's crazy. Not Call of Duty almost costing you a PC. I'm sorry. In terms of competition, Elliott called out Battlefield 6 and Arc Raiders along with Fortnite, which recently had a popular Simpsons season and launched its positively received Chapter 7. Xbox dropped the ball in the wrong year, as this year saw some of the most exciting releases in years. Attention is scarce. Elliott went on to say that players are becoming increasingly dissatisfied with Call of Duty's lack of innovation. Prior to Black Ops 7's release, Elliott said people would buy Black Ops 7 even if they complained about a lack of innovation, because many people buy the new Call of Duty games yearly as part of an autopilot purchasing. Elliott also predicted that Black Ops 7 would outsell Battlefield 6. I don't know why they thought that, but he made this prediction prior to the release of both games. Elliott also pointed out that Call of Duty's turn towards more Fortnite-like cosmetics and non-military character skins like Beavis and Butthead, Nicki Minaj. Hey, see? I'm not crazy. Alienated a significant portion of the fan base who prefer more grounded military aesthetic. For what it's worth, Black Ops 7 does not feature the same kind of wacky and over-the-top skins that Black Ops 6 had, in part because Activision said it heard the concerns that Call of Duty has strayed from its identity. Warzone, however, still has all those kinds of skins. For Black Ops 7 specifically, Elliott said the game's co-op campaign was a major point of criticism, but the game's use of AI slop was the sore spot for some. Not to mention, you couldn't pause that because it was always online. I repeat, the campaign for Call of Duty that people have been begging them to add co-op in, not only did they add co-op, but they made sure the campaign was always online. If you turned it off, you had to restart the level all over again. If your internet shut down, you had to go back to the beginning, because you know why? That campaign had no checkpoints in it.
What is this? Huh? This is whack. I can't get jiggy with this shit.
It's crazy. The campaign has no checkpoints. So like I said before, if your internet went down, maybe you step away to go to the bathroom, you come back, you're sent back to the menu, you got to start the level all over again. Insane. But player reception was also largely negative, with a mostly negative Steam user score and review bombing galore. Long-standing player frustrations like the perceived impact of skill-based matchmaking and the focus on heavy microtransactions over core gameplay quality continue to drive players away from the franchise. Now, additionally, Elliott also said Black Ops 7 launching in the Game Pass cannibalized traditional full-price game sales for Xbox and PC. He pointed to the reporting said that Black Ops 6 missed out on $300 million in potential sales due to the game being on Game Pass. I know some people, the only reason they played Call of Duty was because the game is on Game Pass. What are we talking about? Better yet, I should have hit this button instead.
Negro, please.
That would have been the better one to hit. Beyond all of this, Elliott said the marketing for Black Ops 7 was pretty abysmal and underwhelming. While the game's formal reveal event at Call of Duty Next was messy and did little to excite the community. I'm sorry, I can't read today. This is again in stark contrast to the community-driven focused marketing of Battlefield and Arc, whose development and marketing has been incredibly community-driven. Battlefield 6 has sold more than 10 million copies reportedly, but there is no sales data available yet for Black Ops 7. Any comparison would be incomplete and unfair as Black Ops 7 is on Game Pass and is available on more platforms than Battlefield 6. No shooter has outsold Call of Duty in terms of a full year in the US since 2006, though Battlefield 6 has already eclipsed the first month of sales of Black Ops 6 and Modern Warfare 3. I hate to say it, but does the concept that Call of Duty just might not be good this year not come to mind? I've never seen so many excuses made for a video game, because Call of Duty 7, Black Ops 7 is just not good this year. It's just not. Battlefield 6, if you're a Battlefield 6 fan, you're up right now. Hell, if you're a Call of Duty fan, I recommend trying out Battlefield 6. They've been doing a free week. They had a free week not too long ago that people could just download the game and play. RedSec, if you like Warzone, but you want less cheaters in your Warzone, play RedSec. It's going to require you to play a little slower, a little more tactical, but should be a good change. So if you're someone who's just constantly tired of people sliding around, doing dolphin dives out of windows and stuff like that, and wants to play against some people who play like human beings, try out RedSec. It's free, and it's basically Warzone just in Battlefield. Give it a shot. But speaking of skill-based matchmaking, because they did bring it up, not to mention past research has shown that people love skill-based matchmaking. I don't know. I think it's just a few people who are constantly parroting the opinions of big streamers they've looked at who hate skill-based matchmaking because they can't drop 40, 60, 80 kills in a single lobby. I hate to admit it, but if skill-based matchmaking is on and you notice you're running into sweats constantly, people are doing everything in their power to win the game, and you feel like people are trying way too hard, I hate to break the bad news to you, but you might be a sweat too. And that's okay. Just be aware. Don't be scared of it. Be aware of it. Nothing wrong with being a sweat. Own it. Don't run from it. But Treyarch is pushing skill-based matchmaking in Black Ops 7 due to increased engagement. Now, if you thought the skill-based matchmaking conversation was going anywhere, you might want to boil the kettle. Not only is Treyarch adamant about having skill-based matchmaking, but Black Ops 7's playlist options will now feature skill-based matchmaking modes more prominently. The letters SBMM will be forever synonymous with FPS games. Skill-based matchmaking plays a huge role in modern-day matchmaking, and there was a lot of interest around Black Ops 7 after Treyarch revealed it would feature a greater emphasis on open matchmaking. Slowly but surely, the developer might be backtracking that statement. So since launch, the standard matchmaking playlist option, which emphasizes skill-based matchmaking, has been a regular playlist option. This changes with Black Ops 7 Season 1. So they went on to say that we've continued to see increased engagement with standard mosh pit, so we'll be featuring it in the featured tab for players who prefer an experience with more similarly skilled opponents. With the main tab changing to featured, the other tab will now become party games, which will include prop hunt, sharpshooter, one in the chamber, and gunfight at the launch of Season 1, as well as the debut of Sticks and Stones and Gun Game in Week 2. In a layman's terms, players are apparently playing modes that prioritize skill-based matchmaking for matchmaking. This is more player engagement here. Therefore, Treyarch is now rewarding this by adding standard mosh pit to the featured playlist, making it a center stage attraction. There have been suggestions that skill-based matchmaking might not be as open as advertised in Black Ops 7. This featured move doesn't necessarily support this theory, but it shows that skill-based matchmaking is becoming prevalent in Call of Duty once again. So yeah, like I said before, they've done research in the past and run experiments without telling the general public that they were doing it, and it showed that more players were happier and had increased engagement with skill-based matchmaking. As much as people say that they hate it, they love it. They love that shit. Like they can't walk away from it because your matches are better. You're playing against people of your skill level. So you might not be dropping a game with 20, 30, 40 kills, 80 kills in the lobby, but you're still getting a better experience because you're playing with people similar to your skill group. You're not coming in steamrolling or snowballing everybody all the time, but you get better paced games throughout your session. That's what skill-based matchmaking is intended to do. If you're someone who's been frustrated with getting snowballed, skill-based matchmaking is ideally supposed to fix that. Now, granted, you're going to catch some demons in your skill level regardless, who seem like they might be a few ranks above, or you might catch a few smurfs here and there, but overall, skill-based matchmaking is supposed to help fix stuff like that. For anybody wondering. From here on, though, we're getting into new gaming announcements, new gameplay of different things that were announced at the PC Game Show. I'm not going over the whole thing today because there was so much news that I had to split the news between 2 different days. So we'll cover the rest of it on Monday. But if you're curious about some co-op games, some new game announcements, hopefully you guys stick around for that, learn some more things. And then later we'll get into playing Marvel Rivals Ranked. But starting off with this, which I think is a huge announcement, the Left 4 Dead creator is apparently making a new 4-player co-op shooter. So PlayStation and J.J. Abrams' Bad Robot are making a new 4-player co-op game from the Left 4 Dead creator. And PlayStation has slightly lifted the veil in its next project, confirming that the gaming division of the J.J. Abrams founded Bad Robot production company and Left 4 Dead creator Mike Booth are making an exclusive game together. There is still a heavy shroud of mystery surrounding this new PlayStation title, but Sony seems to be quite excited about the newly announced team-up. After several years working for Valve, Mike Booth eventually left the company and moved on to Blizzard, which would then lead him to Bad Robot. This isn't the first time that word of Bad Robot and Mike Booth's partnership has been reported. Back in 2018, J.J. Abrams confirmed that Bad Robot would be venturing into video games. Fast forward to the end of 2020, and Mike Booth is confirmed to be the chief creative officer of Bad Robot's gaming division. At the time, it was known that Booth's new role with Bad Robot would bring forth a new game, but the news about the project has been incredibly sparse over the years, at least until now. Now, Sony released an official statement regarding the announcement of the partnership, but there are very few details about the game itself beyond confirmation that it will be a 4-player co-op shooter. There isn't much else to go on, not even a title. The most exciting piece of information, though, is that the game is going to be a fresh IP. While some may have hoped for something related to Booth's Left 4 Dead or Bad Robot's past work like Cloverfield, Star Trek, or even Overlord, it looks like that won't be the case. However, the promise of something brand new waiting on the horizon is just as intriguing. Bad Robot Games CEO Anna Sweet stated, "With support of PlayStation, we hope to deliver a bold, innovative experience that is truly special for the players. I could not be more excited that Mike Booth is at the creative helm, crafting a cooperative adventure that will lead to unforgettable moments with friends." That's interesting. I think this is exciting because if it's coming from the creator of Left 4 Dead himself, I am curious to see what they do with this, especially since it's going to be another 4-player co-op shooter. I love playing things with my friends. I love getting excited at the fact that more and more co-op games are releasing recently. So that's dope. It's going to be exclusive to PS5 and PC. It's going to be a co-op shooter. It's going to support up to 4 players. Mike Booth is directing the project, and it's a brand new IP. And while Sweet's statements about the exclusive PlayStation deal sound confident, they are also strategically void of further details. This makes sense since it's best to keep as much information as possible a secret until the big reveal, but it's also unclear where that announcement will take place. In the official statement, all Sony said in regard to a more substantial announcement was more details on the game will be shared at a later date. I'm hoping that means the Game Awards, but I wouldn't hold my breath. Now, the big question is when exactly that date will be. It could be a long time before any further news is shared about the Booth directed project. However, since the Game Awards are right around the corner, this announcement could potentially be planting the seeds for a bigger reveal at the event. Of course, this is purely speculation, so expectations should be kept low. It's also interesting that Sony specifically confirmed that it would be exclusive to the PS5, with rumors and leaks suggesting that the PS6 could arrive in 2027. Sony confirming that Bad Robot's project is specifically for the PS5, considering that also the game will be ready within a year or two. Booth has been with Bad Robot's gaming division for several years now, but that doesn't mean the game has been in development for that long, of course. The co-op title could very well be in its infancy, so only time will tell how long it takes for Sony to reveal what Bad Robot and Mike Booth are cooking up. So definitely a dope announcement for Left 4 Dead fans, people who want more games to play with their friends, co-op shooters. Rogue Point, that's the name of this game. It looks like the successor for Rainbow Six Vegas that people have been waiting for, and it's from the studio that made Black Mesa, which was another form of Half-Life 2, if I remember correctly, or was it Half-Life 1? Let me see. It was a Half-Life 1 remake. It was a Half-Life 1 remake that dropped in 2020. And it was made in the Source game engine. And it was originally a free mod. But let's look at this trailer.
Miss the golden era of FPS games? Craving that classic shooter feel with a modern twist? Welcome to Rogue Point, a 4-player co-op FPS built for squads who crave replayability, mayhem, and one more run. Throw grenades with your friends, kick down doors with your friends, shoot armored up guys in pig masks with your friends, play golf with your... Oops, wrong game. Whether you're a tactical mastermind or a mess around and find out type of player, you'll fit right in. Stick cameras under doors, smash windows.
It's not him getting teabagged.
Rescue hostages, revive your dead friends, wear tight shorts, blow stuff up. Plan your missions like a pro or just draw stupid pictures.
So what I'm like about this is so far it seems like it's got Rainbow Six Vegas, Ready or Not, and SWAT like all wrapped into one with the absurdity of like a Call of Duty.
There's this weird coughing guy who gives you loot boxes. Don't worry, they're free. And watch out for this weirdo. All made by Crowbar Collective, the indie dev studio behind Black Mesa. Rogue Point.
I was worried when he said loot boxes, but then he said they're free, so I don't know. But that's Rogue Point. It looks really good, and it seems to be coming from a studio that knows they're making a video game and that game is supposed to be fun. It's not taking itself too seriously, but it looks like it'll be a good time. Let's see if they talk more about it. So Rogue Point is a throwback co-op PvE shooter from Black Mesa developer Crowbar Collective that takes the tense room clearing combat of Rainbow Six Vegas' terrorist hunt mode and extends the replayability with a haul of roguelike mechanics. So it's a 4-player co-op shooter roguelike? Its latest trailer debuted at the PC Gaming Show Most Wanted highlights exactly how your squad can carefully clear or brainlessly blunder through its Merkfield locals. The trailer centers on a montage of the tactical tools at your team's disposal, while underlining that you can always default to a good old-fashioned guns blazing shootout should a squad may fumble the ball. SWAT 4 and Rainbow Six vets can get misty-eyed over the inclusion of a snake cam, which you can slide under doors to see what the enemy mercs up to. Oh yeah, this reminds me of Ready or Not too, because Ready or Not is the SWAT 4's spiritual successor. There's also a neat pre-match planning board where your team can draw up attacking routes for efficiently sweeping through the building, or just doodle and hope for the best. There are hostages to rescue, bombs to defuse, but the tone is much lighter than the typically po-faced milsim machismo of other tactical shooters. Case in point, you can spend in-game cash directly on better weapons, or roll the dice on a randomized dead drop. You might get lucky and nab a magazine-fed shotgun capable of disassembling dozens of bad guys without having to release a trigger, or you might get some squeaky tight shorts, perfect for showing off those pins, less useful for saving innocent civvies. The team at Crowbar Collective has already shown how adept it is at balancing nostalgia with a fresh thinking and an excellent Black Mesa. So with the success of accessible co-op games like Peak, Repo, and RV There Yet this year, it's really exciting to see the often undeserved genre of tactical shooters getting the fun with friends treatment. If all that sounds like your bag, then Rogue Point can be wishlisted on Steam now and is slated for early access release before the year is out. Oh, so this is dropping this year. That means it has to drop sometime this month then. So that's worth looking into if you and 3 other friends want another shooter to play where you can turn your brain off and not have to worry about sweating it up. Might be a good time for you, because that game doesn't seem to take itself too seriously. What else I got for you guys though? Speaking of shooters, this one seems to be like Turok. This game is called Ferocious and it blends Far Cry Chaos with Ark's Dino Taming, and it's available on Steam right now. And we have another trailer for you guys right here. Minute long. I like how short all these trailers are and the fact that they're showing off gameplay. Because I hate when we just get a cinematic teaser of a game that's not coming out for the next 6 years. You got a P90, I'm sold. Like my favorite gun of all time. Okay, some gun customization. Mech suits. This said available now. This game is out now. Oh, it's a launch trailer. Interesting. Dinosaurs. Sometimes the litmus test for whether a game is cool or not is really just that simple. And Ferocious, which is just launched on Steam during the PC gaming show, wins bonus points for piloting mech suits, Tarkov-like weapon modifications, and dino taming into the mix. Never settle for less. Its launch trailer showcases a toy box of ideas that rivals Far Cry in scope, but there's a dark and moody atmosphere here that runs counter that series' recent dialed-up mayhem. Prehistoric monsters stalk their prey through suffocatingly dense jungle environments, rain lashing down through breaks in the canopy, and when you can find relief from downpour, you're greeted by armies of heavily armed shadowy mercs. There is absolutely a power fantasy here. Seconds later, we're taming T-Rexes, strapping into mech suits, and using high-powered scopes to pick off unwitting bad guys from on high. And yes, you can ride the dinosaurs, or at least the big ones. I'm highly doubtful you can take flight on pterodactyls or careen through foliage atop a knee-high compy. It also looks like you'll be able to direct the dinos both through some form of mind control device and simply by aggroing them towards an encampment. You'd love to see bulldozed by a triceratops. You won't get all those gadgets and guns from the start, of course. Actually, you'll probably have to build a lot of it yourself. This is a survival game too, and the Steam page confirms you'll need to work very hard to track down the limited resources and items you need to go from scraping by to taking over. We get a small glimpse of the weapon customization in launch trailer 2, which shows the player inspecting their armament and choosing between options for the stock, lasers, muzzle attachments, and optics. It's a neat touch you would expect from a game that's already offering dinosaur fights. Best of all, you don't have to wait to start amassing your dino minions. Ferocious is available on Steam right now. Another interesting game. I think this one would be closer to a game for Twisted Metal and Burnout fans. If anybody remembers those destruction racing games, which we just really don't get a lot of nowadays. Carmageddon Rogue Shift, in fact, looks like the death race game we've always deserved. Everything this person loves about arcade racers in one game. Let's look at this trailer next. I'm gonna just leave the music off for now, actually. Oops.
Attention all drivers. This is your 1 minute warning. 1 minute to showtime. Those who are
Are
about
those zombies?
we salute you.
Those who are about to die, we salute you is a crazy line. Like some Erwin would have said in Attack on Titan. So yeah, this will be on the PS5, Steam, and the Epic, the Xbox Series S and X, and the Switch too. Coming out early 2026. So if you're looking for a car racing game that you can shoot everybody else on the road and get some destruction in, and apparently have some other stuff, other factors at play here too, which is really nice. I haven't really seen that since like playing Split Second, Burnout, Blur, if anybody remembers Blur. There's like a few other games I'm forgetting in there too, but we really just don't get a lot of games like this anymore. This person went on to say that ever since I first watched Death Race, I've wanted a video game version of it. There are a couple from the 70s and 90s, but they don't really scratch the itch. Enter Carmageddon Rogue Shift, a new vehicular combat game unveiled during a PC gaming show Most Wanted. This makes me miss Jack X combat racing. But in this engine revving spectacle, contestants fight to the death in modified cars and vans, shooting each other with miniguns and rocket launchers. It's everything I've ever dreamed of. I was raised on Burnout 3 Takedown and MotorStorm. I adore these arcadey car brawlers, and we've been do a new one for quite some time. The Carmageddon Rogue Shift trailer shows off weighty weapons and crashes in cars that slide and drift, just like what I'm looking for. During the world premiere trailer, we see a racer in the elevator prepare to enter the ride, a car with saw blades stuck through the hood and windshield. They speed through the city streets at night, shooting other contestants while avoiding glowing, dangly things. Something has seriously messed the city up. It looks like there's like some type of virus or apocalypse going on while they're racing. As well as other contestants, there are grotesque hordes out at night. The series has featured both human and non-human pedestrians in the past, and it looks like they've gone for zombies this time. It reminds me of MotorStorm Apocalypse when people who remain in the crumbling city would try to shoot at or grab onto your car. There are several sets of wheels you can choose from. They all have different stats and abilities. The first car we see can shoot or boost one other resources at the expense of its HP. And Shelby gets more powerful the more health and ammo you pick up during the race. You're not just stuck with the starting lineup though. As you play, you'll unlock more weapons and performance upgrades so you can customize your cars in the true chariots of death. Now this isn't out until early 2026, but you can wishlist it on Steam for now. That's interesting. Definitely have to cover something like that because that looked really good. Let me see what else we got for you guys here. There's been a Banjo-Kazooie fan-made game made in Dreams, which honestly looks sick. Honestly, it has a good chance of staying up because unlike Nintendo, Rare doesn't sue their fans. So Banjo-Kazooie Mumbo Mania is a new PlayStation-only game playable in Dreams. And apparently they've created more games in here too. Like there's been a Courage the Cowardly Dog game doing the rounds lately. And all the other fan-made things. I think Dreams is only like, what, $20? And most of the games you play on there is free. So a lot of people will go in here and make games just to get their feet wet when it comes to developing different titles and things before they go on and make their big projects. Kind of similar to how people made certain games in Roblox and then went on to make them for real. But Moon Studios is William. Ooh, this last name, I want to take a swing at it, but I don't. We'll come back to it. We'll just call him William for now. But William has used their free time productively to create a whole new Banjo-Kazooie game for PlayStation owners on PS4 and PS5. I hate butchering people's names. That's me personally. But it comes with a couple of minor caveats. It's not an official Banjo-Kazooie game, and you need to own a copy of Dreams. It boggles the mind that there hasn't been a new Banjo-Kazooie game in nearly 20 years. 2008's Nuts and Bolts remains the final Banjo-Kazooie game to see the light of day. And if you've got a hankering for a new release, a talented developer might have you jumping around the room. Now, William is a level designer at Moon Studios, and they've been working on No Rest for the Wicked, but their spare time has involved a lot of Dreams, it seems. If I remember correctly, No Rest for the Wicked was like that Souls-like. It was like mixing in a Souls game with Diablo, and they seemed to do pretty well. It had some jankiness, some issues early on, but it seems to be doing really well now. Now, the PlayStation exclusive title is considered one of the most sophisticated content generation games in the world. And freedom and control you have to create your own levels and games and Dreams is nearly endless. Now, William posted to X on December 3rd with a fun message. Banjo-Kazooie Mumbo Mania is out now on Dreams for PS4 and PS5. If you need convincing, there's even a 1 minute and 43-second trailer showing off the game. It does indeed look like a deep Banjo-Kazooie game. It looks terrific by every metric. Let me see if we can watch this on YouTube. I'm not trying to pull it up on Twitter. Their video player is awful and everything ends up looking ashy. Like the video feed is not moisturized. Crazy thing to say, but if you see it, you'll know what I'm talking about. Here we go. Okay. Yeah, this looks like it's fire. That's the trailer. This looks like it's gonna be really fun. So if you have Dreams or a PS5 or PS4 and you want to pick this game up for dirt cheap just to play this, hey, you definitely can. Reminds me of old platformers like Battle for Bikini Bottom, if anybody remembers that SpongeBob game, because that game was fun. That game was really dope. A lot of platformers used to be good. They used to be really, really good. And I can't say used to be because we did get some decent ones. I'd say they're not as popular now, almost as if the industry has turned on them. But Astrobot was also fire. But again, this is only for PlayStation owners, and you need to have a working copy of Dreams to play it. If you meet this criteria, this might be the closest you'll ever get to a new Banjo-Kazooie title. That's pretty nice.